This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Kia ora, and welcome to Diversity Dispatch, your local queer radio show. We're your hosts, Ricky
and Percy, and we're here to bring you the latest in Dunedin queer news, community projects, events, and more.
Sit back, relax, and tune into our fortnightly show hosted on OAR FM.
Let's get started.
I am joined here today again by Arkii.
Oh my god, hi. You couldn't get rid of me, so I'm back.
Exactly. We're lucky enough to have her for some more, content, some more time, some more kiki. So we haven't really thought of a specific topic for this episode, which I think is the birthplace for the best ideas.
Exactly.
So we're just gonna hit it and just see what happens. What is your opinion on RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under?
I have a lot of thoughts on RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under, and honestly, I think this episode is just going to be the thing that gets me from not being able to get on. That I need something that will force me to not go on it, because I need to not be tempted.
Yes.
Right? Like, as much as I love television and I'd love to be on television in drag, I think RuPaul's Drag Race, like the international franchises, they're very Americanized. And so you don't get the full experience of what that particular country's drag scene is properly like. Because you're getting this very Americanized, like, looks-centered drag.
Yes.
That doesn't have much room for flexibility or creativity, and only recently has allowed queens to venture outside of a very narrow band of femininity that is expected of them,
And I also feel like it's almost begrudgingly, like the parameters have sort of been opened up a bit wider.
Yeah. I have nothing against the queens that partake in it,
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it's great that there is still this international showcase, and that there is a reality TV show that's as big as it is, airing in as many countries as it is, showcasing this beautiful form of art. I still think that's absolutely amazing, and we're very, very privileged to have such a piece of television. I just think it could, especially with the international franchises, expand a bit more to showcase more drag. They should really just put kings on the show already.
I don't understand why they haven't done that.
And people say, oh, but drag kings don't slay. Girl,
yes,
go look at Hugo Girl and tell me Hugo Girl does not slay.
Absolutely.
Because kings can turn out looks, and they can slay and work and turn that, okay?
Also, I feel like the people who are saying, drag kings don't slay are the ones who haven't
seen a good drag king.
Which is sort of like a common theme that I see coming up of people being like, we don't want that, or we don't like that. It's like, baby,
people just don't know they exist, and it's like, girl, when I was a little kid, I was like, oh yeah, drag kings have to exist because drag queens exist, because that only makes sense, So it bothers me that people don't even consider that drag kings could exist in the first place.
We're like, if I can play dress up, why can't they?
Yeah.
Why can't they them also play dress up?
Them, she, her, him, anyone,
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen an increasing number of cis-male drag kings, which I think is very cool. Because it's a really good space to explore gender presentation of any kind.
Yes.
So to see men getting to do men too is so beautiful. I think
Men
it's so
5
cute.
or the Hulk.
Yeah.
And then I'm just thinking of the performances they could do as well.
Girl, drag king performances are some of the funniest. There is a drag king who's pretty big on TikTok. His name is Percy Nongrata. He's done a Ratatouille number.
Yeah.
And the full number's 10 minutes long, and he's done this full mix. He has all of these props for it. There's just little clips online that you can go watch, but he's bloody hilarious.
I love
his
that.
acts are fantastic. Drag kings are so funny and creative, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah. Have you seen Dragula?
I have not. I know, you'd think Arkii would watch Dragula considering her aesthetic.
Yeah.
I just haven't found a good place to acquire it by completely legal means yet.
I feel you on that. So, there is a streaming service. This is not sponsored because they don't
know who we are.
No, they don't. Not yet, anyway. There's a streaming service called Shudder.
Right.
And they, at the very least, actually, I think they have every season on there.
Yeah.
And it's not terribly
And Shudder would be my thing. I'm a big horror freak. I love horror.
So am I, but I also haven't taken the time to actually scroll through it, because the only time I remember that Shudder exists is when it's that time of the week. So like,
But I've seen like the contestants from the new Dragula season, and there's a good diversity in like things and kings and creatures, and even the genders behind the scenes. There's good diversity in that, which I really love to see.
yeah, because like where RuPaul's Drag Race is lacking in diversity, Dragula definitely picks it up and tears it to pieces. Like,
and then it's also showcasing the alternative side of drag, the freaky side of drag, which I think is amazing that that's really coming through as well in drag scenes. I think especially here in Aotearoa, our alternative performers are quite treasured.
Yes.
You know, and quite popular in the scenes because the scene is so small anyway that it's not difficult to get anywhere with it, you know?
Yeah, like it's not too difficult to pull focus, to grab attention when there's very few performers around to share the spotlight with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if I lived in Poneki or Tamaki, like I wouldn't be in the same drag position that I'm in down here, you know? 'Cause down here, like I'm a show producer, I know everyone, like I'm that.
Well, that's exactly that's exactly how it starts. And then as the scene grows, that'll attract more people to Oti and we'll have
And hopefully other people will start running shows.
and then you'll just profit.
Profits!
Yes.
We don't do profits here.
Exactly.
And Arkii doesn't profit.
No, she does not.
She redistributes the wealth.
She's for the people.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Dragula for me is like it's my favorite. I love it.
Yeah.
Because I love all the horror stuff. I love all of the gender non-conforming
weirdness.
stuff. Yeah, the weirdness, the strangeness, the filth of it all.
Yeah.
Like when people come out on stage, I'm like genuinely shocked. Well, not shocked, but like I'm excited. Like I will gasp and be like, "Oh my god!" Like it excites me so much.
Yeah.
Also, like the king representation on that show is fantastic. Like I hadn't seen. I mean, I'd definitely seen Hugo Girl on House of Drag, which is a New Zealand television show, which I don't know if it's actually on anything anymore.
I don't think it is, because I've had a hard time finding it, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate, because I would love to see Hugo Girl being the first drag king ever to win any drag reality show.
Any
like, that
franchise.
that was iconic.
Yeah, and then now other franchises have sort of been like, hey, let's do that.
Let's do a king, because he can win in the tiny country.
Literally, let's do it in the big country.
See, we've always been world leaders in everything down here.
Yeah,
And we're always forgotten about.
Yeah, we're pioneers, Chip.
Exactly.
Pioneers. Yeah, so if anybody would like to see some king representation, Dragula's a fantastic place to start. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Did you watch any of Drag Race Germany?
Not yet, no.
My God, I so recommend it. I quite enjoyed it because the host, Barbie Breakout, she was so kind and loving to everyone. It was so nice to watch. And then, like, Pandora Knox is just an icon.
Yeah.
Oh, God, she is fantastic. You just have to watch that.
Because I started Mexico, España. I actually, no, I didn't finish España. I think the recent season, there's definitely a contestant who was not given a fair run, even though every season prior to that was like fantastic 10 out of 10. But then I was sort of just like, oh. Okay, interesting. I loved, obviously, all the UK seasons because they're very easy to watch. What are the other ones?
Been watching the new season of Canada's Drag Race.
Yes.
So incredible to see 2 trans people
Yes.
on the show in one season. I'm rooting for Denim 100%.
As have I. The moment they walked in, I was just like, that is the person for me.
Love her so much. Just incredible vision of drag. It is so beautiful. And everything she says about relating to drag as a trans man, I'm like, yeah, like he understands.
Yes.
You know, he's got the same story as me of like using hyperfemininity as this like shield pre-transition, and then post-transition it's this like artistic tool that you have to heal from that time from before, you know?
That makes so much sense. Yeah, just like almost like a rebellion after the point. Yeah. So obviously your trans expression must incorporate its way into your drag style quite well.
I think it does. 'Cause, what I've done with Arkii is she's also gender fluid to a degree.
Yes.
So I haven't ruled out doing like king looks, and for all I care, Anne can be a boy's name. I don't give like I'll just turn out a king look. I don't care.
Anakin.
It's actually short for Andruthany. So like I bring that through a lot too, and I experiment a lot with gender presentation still in drag of like not completely shaving everything, being a bit hairy, and embracing those like sides of femininity that often aren't seen as feminine.
Yes.
But, you know, it's entirely neutral because it's like body hair, for example.
Exactly. Like, especially with like the obsession of gender relating to how your body presents.
Yeah.
And also just being like, well, women or femmes should not have body hair or whatever. It's like,
It grows there.
Well, they do. It's already there, babe.
It came free with your endocrine system.
Exactly. And also just like the, by the way, the only reason that women started shaving was because Gillette decided. And
It was all capitalism. It's all
Literally.
capitalism,
It all
right?
is,
It all
yeah.
goes back to capitalism every single time.
yes. And we do not love that.
Don't.
Sorry. Yeah, but if we just, you know, rearrange some stuff, think about some things, and get a few ethical balls rolling.
And a few unethical balls.
Yes. And a few drag balls.
A few drag balls.
Yes.
My big balls.
What was that from something?
I was just doing a silly voice.
Oh, I love that. I love silly voices.
My big balls. Mm.
Oh.
I love doing a Tim Curry voice, you know? I have
Yes.
a little voice for Arkii that's definitely very Tim Curry inspired with
Yeah.
his, like, inflection and stuff like that. Like, yes, oh my darling. Mm.
What? Do you have any celebrity impersonations that you can do?
God, I'm terrible at celebrity impersonations.
I have a few, but they're probably not even like for.
I can do a good Jennifer Coolidge. Ah.
Oh wow, you do.
But that's it that I can do is her little oh my god.
Makes me want a hot dog real bad.
Real bad. I'm a level 4 vegan.
Oh wow, watch out.
Okay, maybe I could do a Jennifer Coolidge.
That would be fun.
We just had 2 on Canada's Drag Race. No, I'm so mad that after 4 seasons of Canada's Drag Race, no one has done Avril Lavigne yet on Snatch Game. Because
feel
she's a
like
Canadian icon.
She would be really tricky though.
Because I'm thinking of like mid-2000s, like super stoned teenage Avril or something.
Before they swapped her out for a clown.
Yes.
Before then,
The
yeah.
original Avril.
Yes. Where is she now?
She invented punk rock. You can actually see her in pictures at discharge shows.
Oh. Yeah, like look, if you zoom into the back.
If you zoom into the background, she's actually best friends with Kawakami.
You know what I love most about that particular true myth? Is the fact that people are like, oh, she has different spots on her face. It's like, babe.
That's aging.
She's been in the sun.
Yeah, that's how aging works.
Which is why everybody needs to wear sunscreen. It's the fountain of youth.
Like, it's been like 20 years since Skater Boy came out. Just about, you know, she's not a spring chicken anymore.
No, she's not a spring chick. No. But, yeah, I think she also just like a guest judge.
Yeah, oh my, I would piss my pants
Right?
if Avril Lavigne was a guest judge.
Yeah, and then she just got to watch them like... Actually, they just did one of her songs, didn't they?
Did they? Oh my god, not sure.
Lip sync on Canada. They did. Anyway. Moving on. Yeah, I think back to Drag Race Down Under.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely been a journey.
Yeah.
We've seen improvement in the quality of the show and the production.
Yeah. There's certainly still some production issues.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, the woman that produces the show, she didn't actually have any television experience really prior to that. Like, she worked on House of Drag, and the only reason she worked on House of Drag was because she just had connections to the drag scene. I may be incorrect in all of this. This is just a rumor, but I basically heard that she had, like, no television experience going in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't showed. So I know a handful of the contestants from House of Drag. So I used to live in Wellington.
Believe it or not, I'm friends with Bionica's mother.
Oh. How is
So I've
she?
had the pleasure of meeting Bionica. Oh, Bionica's mom is lovely. Cena, if you're listening, I love you so much. Wonderful woman. And it was beautiful to meet Bionica, so I hope we get to have her down here for a show next year.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I met Bionica at a big... there's this party that I don't think it's happening anymore, but like in Wellington, there would be this party called Frills.
Oh, yeah.
Which would happen... I think it initially was happening once a year, and then it sort of went to once every 6 months. And then it was just infiltrated by all the fans. So
No.
I think maybe it sort of died down a wee bit. But also, like, I'm good friends with Clairvoyant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we used to have all kinds of fun up in Wellington.
I really want them to bring back House of Drag. So
Me
I would
too.
so go on that show in a
That would be so
heartbeat.
fun. Because apparently the show initially, like, was meant to be kind of like a Big Brother-esque
Yeah.
format, which I have nothing but time for Big Brother. I want to see Big Brother New Zealand. I would go on that. I would win. Or Big Brother
I would
New
be
Zealand
stirring
versus
so
Australia.
much in a Big Brother house. Are you kidding me?
Right?
I'd be pulling pranks on everyone. I'd be such a little dirtbag.
Yeah, you'd just be like, hey, Deirdre, didn't you hear?
Oh my God.
Sandy she was the one that put snails in your wig. Oh no, she told me straight to my face. She literally said,
I actually watched her put the snails in her wig, but I didn't stop her.
because I felt so scared. So scared for you and for me.
And for my own safety, you know?
And that's why
I was afraid I
I
might be a
think-
victim of a transphobic hate crime.
I think we need to evict Deirdre. Me saying right to her face, be like, this is why we need to evict you
Exactly.
for being a victim. Honestly, yeah, we need to...
I'd be able to pull some fun little jokes, like, as much as I disagree with landlords and the concept of eviction, I think you need to be evicted.
Literally, you're like, sometimes we die the hero, sometimes we live long enough to become the villain. Yeah. I wonder how hard it would be to get, like...
Convince them to bring it back.
Yeah. Or to even just get TVNZ or
Get them to
whoever
do something else.
to produce
Just
a reality television show.
Yeah, just a local drag show would be really good. Something that actually showcases what Aotearoa drag is about. 'Cause in my experience, we really love our little silly goofs and gaffs
Yes.
up on stage, being a little bit silly. Like, just having one little bit in your number seems to be the thing.
Yes.
And people love it.
They do. It's I feel like it's a lot less serious.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, internationally, drag has become such a monumental art form now that everyone's like, I need to look like a woman, a pretty woman, a supermodel, and I need to pay $8,000 per garment because... Yeah.
Girl, I want to look like the goth bitch in the pharmacy that gives you your antidepressants. She's like 30 years old, watches Invader Zim.
Literally, you're just like, and I want to, dance a jig.
Yeah.
Also, Invader Zim.
Love him.
Character. Gaz. Full name, Gazleen.
Gasly.
Drag name.
Yeah. Honestly.
I thought of one the other day.
Cartoon goth girls are like another big influence for me, if it wasn't obvious, because Anne's very cartoony as it
Yes.
is. But
Also,
I love
like,
cartoon goth girls.
Yeah.
Number one inspiration.
We do love a cartoon goth girl.
Ruby Gloom.
Doomy, gloomy, but also serving. Slaying.
Serving darkness.
Slaying. Oh, slaying. That's
That's pretty dark.
Yeah, that's spooky.
Slaying's pretty violent, not gonna lie.
On that note, so obviously there's a lot of lingo that has been adopted by the youths.
Youths.
The TikTokers.
I know, it's so strange hearing slay outside of a drag context for me. Like, I'm talking to someone a few years younger and they'll just be like, oh, slay. And I'm like,
So
what's slay right now?
yeah, you're like, interesting. Why would you?
Why would you say that?
Explain.
Because, like, within drag spaces, we understand that it's been adopted from people of color, black communities that have come to contribute greatly to what we understand drag to be today. And so when it's removed from the context of drag, it starts to feel like appropriation, you know? And like I'm a white boy. I could be completely wrong and overstepping things with what I'm saying, but like removed from the drag context, I feel like it loses the respect and the connotations that drag has given a lot of this language.
Also, like, when there's no understanding of where the language came from, and then the language gets used against people of colour or queer people as well.
Because like slay, work, all that comes from black communities and like ball culture, and then working its way back into mainstream drag culture. And now it's made its way into just mainstream youth lingo. So it's so detached from the original source.
I would love to see Dunedin have a thriving ballroom scene.
I would love, because there's ballroom scenes up in Auckland and Wellington. Unfortunately, I'm just too white to be able to dance that good.
See, I'm mixed race, so I can dance.
You got the genes going for you, baby.
I sure do.
I could maybe do a little Scottish jig.
Oh, I mean, honestly, here, I think people would eat that up.
Girl, I want to learn tap dancing so bad.
Literally, the shoes that I'm wearing right now, found in an op shop. I know, shocker. I pretend that I'm tap dancing in them. They don't have the taps, but like they have a
They have the look, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the phrase "work" or the word "work." So I play Pokemon Unite online, which is I played on my Nintendo Switch, and I got really good at it. So what I did was I ended up going on Discord and I joined like a group of other people who wanted to make like a team. Yeah. And I was saying the drag lingo on voice chats off, and that I heard one of them just like, "Yeah, work," and I was like, "What? Huh? What? Huh?"
It's so strange. Like I've been using the word, this is like a different context, different word, but I've been using the word transsexual increasingly to describe myself. And the other day I heard my cis boyfriend say transsexual for the first time, and I was like, huh?
What'd you call me?
But like, I mean, like he understands like the nuance behind transsexual, so I'm actually glad to hear him using that language, but it's like, it's so strange when it's outside of that context and you use someone else who you don't expect to hear that word. You're like,
You're like, huh?
You're learning. It has intelligence.
Yeah, you're just like,
it's growing.
He's growing up so fast.
It's growing up so fast. I'm so proud. Because I love the word transsexual because it off-puts cishet people quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know? They're like, oh, I thought we didn't use that word anymore.
It's like, but once you figure out what it means, you're like, that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's... The main distinction is having a medicalized trans experience, you know, being on hormones or surgery or any sort of thing like that. Or even in some circumstances, I know of an intersex person who does not take hormones, who is not on surgery, but they are intersex, right? So by virtue of being intersex, they feel like their trans experience is medicalized because of how doctors have treated them their entire life. So I feel like there is still like further nuance to the term transsexual, but personally I quite like it to be able to talk about my like medicalized experience with hormones and surgery and da-da-da-da-da. But of course, it's not a necessity to be trans, because you can still be transgender or you can still identify somewhere outside of the gender lines, because everything is fake and all these words are fake and we've made it all up. And you can be whatever you want, you know?
Like, I've noticed a lot of, like, Lady Bunny has sort of discussed like what's with all this like obsession over labels and differentiating people from one another as like like she was sort of just like, I don't understand it because of like this. It seems like people are trying to separate themselves from each other, when in reality people like, if I can very accurately describe my experience to other people, then I therefore am able to take up space and demand respect for it.
Because it's easier for me to say I'm a transsexual, bisexual, genderqueer man than it is to be like, well, like I'm kind of a man, but I'm not really, but I sort of am, but I'm kind of not. And anyway, I've been on hormones for this amount of time. And also, I'm attracted to masculinity and femininity in this way, but not like that. You know, it's you've got these layers of nuance, and at the end of the day, it's just a word to be able to quickly and efficiently describe your experience as a human being.
Yes. Also, I think when it comes to labels, where some people get confused, is like, because I was watching this, like, are you familiar with Jubilee?
Vaguely.
They do like debates and stuff on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I've seen a few of their episodes, I think. Yes.
So there was a discussion where people like, I think, homosexuals and then ex-homosexuals, which like And there was a man who was saying that, like, I am an ex-homosexual. I used to be attracted to men and do the whole thing that comes along with that. And then he said that he's straight. And then someone else was like, no, but you're bisexual, blah, blah, blah. And then it was watching that, I was sort of just like, interesting that somebody who isn't the individual themselves thinks that labels are for their use to describe not the current state or the current being of the person.
Sexuality is fluid.
Yes, but they're, or like, for example, if somebody's like, I used to be attracted to this demographic, after exploring that, I enjoyed it. It was pleasant, but I figured out that that's not for me now.
Yeah.
That person, their current identity is accurate in saying that they are attracted to a different demographic.
Yeah.
Even though they have a history of exploring, which, everyone's allowed to, obviously. And it's just like interesting how people will be like, no, you are bisexual because you've, had experiences with two genders. But it's like, I mean, I guess you could say that I was or was curious, but you can't say that I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like labels, I think, are very important for the individual to describe how they are experiencing things in their present state.
Yeah.
Or future, but not past. Yeah. Unless they choose to carry that with them.
And I think it's also useful for finding community.
Yes.
Like I love the bisexual community and the history and all that goes back. So I think being able to find community and people of similar experience through language is very important as well.
I do too. Well, that was actually our timer, so that marks the end of our episode 2 with that amazing
Arkii. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. It's ann.arkii. That's ANN.ARKII on Instagram. You can book me for your events. I'm open to doing just about anything, so hit me up and see how it goes if I'm willing to do it. Thank you so much for having me on the show today, Ricky.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
And we'll see you another time, probably.
Hopefully. I hope to be back.
You won't be. I'm kidding.
She's going to kill me after this.
Yeah, you won't find her. Anyway, thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for today. Diversity Dispatch airs fortnightly on Thursdays at 5 p.m. So if you like today's episode, then be sure to join us in a couple of weeks for the next installment on OAR FM.
And check out the podcast on oar.org.nz and your favourite podcast platforms. Tune in for more chill chats, fun facts, and upcoming local events on Diversity Dispatch.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.